Let me tell you about our guests tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Joll, Debbie Dorday. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, it's so good to have you both here. This is going to be a tremendous show. Jim, you were best man at my wedding.
Absolutely.
And I went to your wedding.
And I went to yours.
And you went to ours.
Quite incestuous.
Quite incestuous. You are known probably for one phrase better than any other. Tell us what it is, Debbie.
See you at Burgundy's.
And you remember what it was like? Have a look at this.
Have you experienced it yet? New Zealand's record-breaking entertainment spectacular, Burgundy's. Debbie Dorday and her talented team have been thrilling audiences for 11 years. Have a complete night out, a full smorgasbord dinner, 2 exciting shows, then dance the night away. Book now. Celebrate with your family or friends, a special occasion, a fun staff night out, or just a twosome. We're fully licensed and we specialise in social events.
See you at Burgundy's.
Gosh, that seems like such a long time ago.
I know.
And you've only aged 5 years since then.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
When Jim and I do shows, they say, we remember when you were on TV, but I mean, it was a commercial. But they do, don't they? When you were on TV, that's what they mean, the ad.
Well, Jim, you were a musician and a singer and now a comedian as well. You've been working together for 17 years.
Yes.
That is just amazing. I'd like to go back. When did you first start in the entertainment industry?
Well, my first professional gig was when I was about 13 years old. We won a small talent quest, which got us into a slightly larger talent quest, which spawned into a very unsuccessful little record. And then basically that same group stayed together when we left school, got into a very, very professional job, doing 7 nights a week at the Intercontinental Hotel, which we did for 7 years. Which turned into Rock Candy that was at Aladdin's for 7 years, 7 nights of the week. And then, of course, when that wound up, I was under contract to Lion Berries for about 12 years, touring the length and breadth of New Zealand as a solo act. And
so while you were doing that, Debbie was at Burgundy's?
I would have been at, yes, I would have probably been Annabelle.
And before Annabelle's?
The Moulin Rouge in Paris.
Yes, tell us about that.
That was the sort of cabaret starting of that life.
But you're born in England.
Yes, and
daughter of a vicar?
I know, vicar's daughter. You can tell,
You'd never tell, would you?
No. I went to stage school at 9, where they push you on the stage or acting and commercials and all this sort of thing. So you don't do much schooling. You do mostly work.
Yes.
So, but at 16, I auditioned for the Moulin Rouge because I wanted to be I wanted to do cabaret. It appealed to me, all the costumes, I suppose.
Yep.
And the feathers and, And I think that's what started the Burgundy thing, was I thought New Zealand needs something that's cabaret and classy, but quick changes, comedy, you never know what's coming next, fabulous dancers. So that ran for 12 solid years.
12 years. It was a wonderful. It'll be remembered by people for a long time. You got a full night out. You got everything. It was the whole entertainment experience and food.
That's right.
It was perfect.
Dancing after.
Yes. And you're up in the backing all these famous artists.
We were actually at Aladdin's. Of course, it was a proper cabaret, and so we had acts from America and Australia would come over quite regularly. And of course, the band in those days was one of the few bands in Auckland that all of us were really good readers, and so backing the international acts was never ever a problem. And
what were some of those acts?
Well, Rosalind Holloway, who had a #1 hit in the soul charts in America with Midnight Train to Georgia. Yeah, she did that one. And Kim Tolliver, who was #1 in the country charts. And the interesting thing with those ones is that all of them were living on the proceeds of just one hit. Rosalind Holloway, that was her only hit. And she's still living quite comfortably on the proceeds of that one hit. And same with Kim Tolliver. And, and of course, a lot of local acts like Dinah Lee and Tina Cross. And so it was good days.
So when did you two meet?
Oh, it was the Variety Artists Club.
Yeah, through the Variety Artists Club was where we first met, and at that stage I was touring the Wheel Tappers and Shunters variety show, which you had been on many times, and it had really run its day. Still a fabulous show, but we'd done it everywhere we possibly could, because in those days it was just the chartered clubs, and we'd done every chartered club around New Zealand, and had a great time.
So
and
it was good timing, because my feet were getting a bit sore, and Burgundy's lease was up. So I sort of had to rethink everything. because I knew you can't tour dancers. You need too big a stages and it's too expensive.
Yes.
And so I think I said to you once at one of the variety artist dues, can I be in your show?
And speaking of the Variety Artists Club, the highest accolade they give is the Benny, and you're both Benny winners.
Yes,
That's
yes.
quite something, isn't it? Yeah, so
Yeah.
you tour being the top of the country.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you,
We've gone up as high as Kaitaia and all the way down to Riverton, which is actually lower than Bluff. So
yes, I've heard that.
And
Yes.
sideways.
and sideways, yeah,
And sideways, yes.
length and breadth and width, yeah.
Well, look, before we carry on and find out more about your touring, what about we see a little something?
Absolutely, I think good idea.
What shall we do, Jim? Something a little naughty, perhaps.
A little naughty, I think.
Something
Yeah,
a
just
little
try it.
But of course, always,
Joll, Debbie
always
Dorday.
classy.
Have you read the papers today? Why, there's nothing but drugs and murders and riots and massacres and lust and rape and pillage, and that's just the sports pages. Mankind is living today, I'm sorry to say, in extremely bad old days. Draining the cup and screwing things up in the same old bad old ways. But try as I might to act as their savior, they sometimes make me quake. Now I'm here to say, people's behavior is just too much to take. So I find I'm gonna make up their mind, unless I am blind, and arrange to change their ways. 'Cause I've had enough. One thing is tough to appraise. Good Lord, I tell them repent and echo my praises, or I'll just be content to blow them all to blazes. That would suit me. Now I know you'll agree, these are extremely bad old days.
If you're gonna end it in style, but make it worthwhile in a good old, bad old blaze. A big ball of flame, but guess who will take all the praise?
Not me.
Yes, you will, Vicar.
No. I only want peace, a church and a steeple.
Read about the vicar in the Sunday People.
Heaven forbid.
Wait till you read what he did back in the good old, bad old days.
Don't you realize we're living today, I'm sorry to say, in extremely bad old days. Oh!
Taking the breaks and making mistakes in the same old bad old ways.
Now some people say they long for the old days to take them way back when.
I'd sooner stay right here in the gold days than go through that again. Good to see you're either out or you're in. You lose or you win in extremely bad old days.
Well, you said it was going to be naughty, but actually it was quite lovely. Yeah. Now listen, a couple of weeks ago I came back from the South Island and I went down and I toured like people say they tour. And I think I did 12 shows. And that was my tour. And you smile at that, don't you?
Yeah, we used to dream of just 12 shows. I think on this tour we did about 36 in about 44 days, yeah, so it's nearly a show every day, yeah.
We had 2 days off, didn't we? Went to Akaroa just for a little break.
Just for a break.
It's a bit exhausting.
What's been your highest number on tour?
Well, 2010 was probably our best, and we just broke 300 shows, so we were averaging about 5 or 6 shows every week,
Wow.
right throughout the year. And then we decided we better pull back just a little bit, so
It's the high heels, you know.
They
hurt Jim's
Yeah,
feet.
they do hurt his feet. So what does your show entail? I mean, do you do an hour and a half of this sort of thing?
Well, in a daytime show that we do, you know, for retired people, because
yes.
they're very good for filling up the Monday to Fridays very effectively, and that we've found that an hour and a half is the optimum time. They're happy with that, and they get plenty of variety. If we do a chartered club, then of course they always want the full 3 hours, so that's a full 3 hour show.
That's pretty tough.
That
But
would be tough.
Even with the hour and a half show, we do what? 50 costumes
There's
between
50
us.
costume changes.
So it's constant
Really?
changing and characters as well.
So how often are the two of you on stage together?
half the time?
Yeah, I'd say probably about, because there's a lot of overlap. That's how the costume changes work. So we'd be on stage for complete numbers, probably maybe 5, 6 numbers throughout the show, but the overlap gives us a lot more time together than...
It's a little bit like Burgundy, so you, without noticing, you quietly lose somebody not quite before the end of the number,
Right,
and the
and
next
then
thing they've replaced you in another character,
Right.
and then that, you know, so it's like that.
And of course, a character, every item is a different costume or a different character, so you don't like go out and do a segment as somebody. It's just every item, and you know, most of the items are about 2.5 minutes long, so in an hour and a half you comfortably get through 50 costume changes.
Wow, that's staggering. You must be exhausted.
But at the end of the show you are.
Yes.
And then you have to break it all down.
Of course.
So-
Do you carry your own curtains, your own
Yeah,
lights,
everything,
sound,
yeah.
everything?
I go with 2 big cases back to the motorhome, exhausted,
Yes, I can believe
swallow
it.
a painkiller, and I'm fine.
I stay behind and break it all down.
That's the man's side of it, isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
A
I can't sew.
lot of variety entertainers may be very talented, but they have a lot of difficulty in acquiring gigs. How do you get all yours?
Well, it's word of mouth. Like the South Island tour, I had it pretty well sold within about 4 or 5 days, the whole tour, because people are waiting for us to come back. And on any previous tour, we'll tell the people we'll be back next year with a brand new show. And so it's sort of pre-sold before we even sort of hit the road.
So you do your own marketing?
Absolutely,
You don't
yeah.
use agents?
Never
no?
ever, no. We found that agents really, for us, just don't work at all. Mainly because they just don't understand what the show's about, so they don't market it the way it needs to be marketed. And whereas, you know, if we do it ourselves, we're quite confident that we can sell it and deliver exactly what we promise that we're going to.
So you're touring with the North Island and the South Island every year. You do the same show?
Well, every year is a new show, but it tends to go towards, as we get towards Christmas, we do the changeover. So usually about Christmas time, it's the brand new show, and that lasts us through till, you know, late
Another
the
year.
following
So
year.
sometimes on tour we're rehearsing as well.
Wow.
And we're always looking for new material and, you know, putting
Yes.
together new material for the show. So
So take us through a typical show. What do the audience see? You open up?
Glamorous at first.
yeah,
Glamour,
always
yes.
got to start glamour, because that's what the people expect us to
Of
come through
course,
the curtain.
We want them to go,
Glamorous,
you know, wow,
Wow.
they still got it, that sort of thing. And then it,
So it's long gowns, wings, and what,
sometimes quite leggy and feathers.
what do you wear? Beautiful start, and then you.
And then we try to get a character on relatively early, because although the opening, of course, is always a proper song, but we want to let the people know that it's going to be a fun show. So we try to get a comedy character on pretty early on in the piece, so that people are then relaxed to the fact, yeah, it's going to be something I can laugh at, and then from then on, we try to make it so it's funny all the way through.
So do you have a full hour and a half? Do you have a break in the middle?
No,
Often the hour and a half without a break if it's a daytime show.
it's quite long when you're changing your gear
Yes.
all the time.
With that many changes.
For the evening shows, it's usually 2 intermissions, so there's 3 segments.
So there's time, yes. And when you do corporates, do you just do an hour? or
That's
45
right.
minutes?
Sometimes as small as 40 minutes,
Yes.
up to seldom more than 2 hours. I think you're very familiar with the corporate environment as well, and basically they want to see what you've got, and they're not after being entertained for the full evening or the full afternoon
No,
or whatever, you know. So it's little as 40 minutes up to about an hour.
You're a cabaret spot. You've done one number for us. Would you mind doing another?
No, we'd love to.
Yeah, we'd
Cool.
love to.
Yeah, a proper little number this time.
A proper little number.
Shall I wear the sexy gold?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's your turn, is it? Good. Debbie Dorday and Jim Joll.
We got married in a fever, hotter than a pepper sprout. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. Yeah, go with it, Jackson. Gonna mess around. Yeah, I'm going to Jackson. Look out, Jackson Town.
Well, you go on down to Jackson. Go ahead and wreck your health. Go play your hand, you big talking man. Make a big fool of yourself. Oh, you go to Jackson, but go comb your hair. What?
I'm gonna snowball Jackson.
See if I care.
night breeze into that city, people gonna stoop and bow. All you women gonna ask me to teach you what you don't know how. Yeah, go to Jackson, gonna loosen my coat, I'm gonna snowball Jackson.
Goodbye is what she wrote. Well, they'll laugh at you in Jackson,
Oh, yeah.
and I'll be dancing on a pony keg. They'll chase you round town like a scolded hound with your tail caught between your legs. Whoa, you go to Jackson, you big talking man, and I'll be waiting in Jackson behind my J-Pan van.
Yeah, we got married in a fever, hotter than a pepper sprout. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. Yeah, go to Jackson, now that's a natural fact. Yeah, we go to Jackson, we ain't never coming back. Yeah, we go to Jackson, we ain't never coming back. Yeah, we go to Jackson, we ain't never coming back.
Well, we're back with Jim and Debbie, who have changed back again, and that was just fabulous. And that's part of your regular show?
Yeah.
Yes, although it's not in the show we're doing at the moment, but we actually ran that one for 2 full years because it was such a popular number.
Well, so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are very clever. How have you found, through your careers, making a living in New Zealand? Sometimes tough?
I've been very lucky, and I think Debbie as well, is that I've always made a good living out of music, and because of the long-term residencies, I can't think like in all the time I've ever had any time out of work, you know. So it's I've never had a problem making music. The industry's good if you put the work in.
Put the work in.
You've got to really focus on what people want. And
Yes.
when I came from England, I looked at what was missing, and that's when I felt it needed a sort of a Burgundy show. And also the thing we've always stuck to, and I've always stuck to, is always classy. You can only go to that line, and then you mustn't go over it, because the minute you offend even slightly, you've really lost You've lost people, because they like it. They like to bring their wife to something classy, and we find that with our show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're a little spicy, but it's never goes over that line.
Naughty but nice.
Yes, naughty but nice.
And that's what the audience gets out of it. But what do you get out of it? For leaving aside money, because I don't believe any of us do it just for the money.
It's too tough a life to do it.
Yes,
For that,
yes.
you
So
have to have the passion. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the energy, would you, Jim?
That's right. Yeah.
When it takes 4 hours to set up a show when we're on the road, and you peek through the curtain that you've just put up, and you can see them all piling in, looking excited, you know, and then that wears you up into, this lot are going to be good to entertain.
Yes.
And then although you're tired at the end of the night and you've still got an hour's work, the passion's there to just give everything. It's only after the show about 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, I can never do this again. I always think that. But the next morning, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you know yourself, the people that always come up at the end, I mean, it's always the best show that they've ever seen, you know.
For that night, yes.
For that night, you know.
Yes.
And you know, but the look in their eyes, you know, you can see they've had just a fabulous time. And of course, we see it from the stage too, you know, when everyone's laughing. And I mean, some people literally fall off their chairs laughing, you know, and that's satisfying. And then, of course, sometimes if we do a daytime show, you know, we'll often get the comment from some of the people, look, you know, I've never seen them this animated, or I've never seen them laugh so much, or they've been talking about this for months afterwards, you know, and that's just so
Because we always look
gratifying.
very different in every, don't we? We look different in every item. And
Yes.
one lovely old man last week said to me, I loved all the girls in the show. I loved the blonde one. And he said, I loved you. And I had to tell him they were all me.
You know, I've
actually-
had exactly the same thing too. You know, with some person, I remember one night I was driving home from one of those late night gigs and listening to late night talkback, and someone had just been to the show, and the host asked them who was in the show. He said, well, there was one guy that did Elvis Presley, there was another guy that did this, and another guy that did that, you know.
And they're all you.
Yeah, they're all me,
Yeah.
you know. So it's
Gives
That's
a good
what's
feeling,
fun.
doesn't
Yeah.
it?
It does, it
Yeah.
does.
Yes, yeah.
And I've also just got Jim and Drag. He does a great drag
Oh,
number.
Now that's
Yes.
something I've
He
got
plays
to
an old
see.
lady coming out of the audience.
I was drag kicking and fighting, but I must admit,
No,
in the
you
end,
love it.
yeah, the audience
He
loved
loves
it.
it.
He's got a lovely pink cardie.
Oh, has he? Oh,
Yeah.
I can't.
And of
wait
course,
to
the
see
legs.
that.
You can imagine how they look in the dress. I mean, you know, just.
I think we have to get a photo before we go to air. Yes, that's. You know, you've really shocked me. I would have never thought Jim, Joll, and Drag.
I
That's got to
know.
be exciting. And is this part of your new show at the moment?
It's a part of the show. No, actually, it was last year's show that we did it. And
you never told me.
And the really, in that particular item, what I have to do is jump out a window or something so I can walk around, so come in through the front door. And the really good thing is that quite often people actually really believe it's someone who's interrupting the show. And you get quite some nasty comments from people about, interrupting the show.
You ever been in a hall or any situation where you can't get around?
We've had a couple of shockers. One of them was quite a long drop, wasn't it? When you look out the window, how far I had to jump in. It's one of those windows that didn't open very far. So, it's not like you could sort of sit on the edge.
I was singing Kiss Me Honey Honey, all dressed up sophisticated like, and I know he's going to get out that window in the dressing room, but it was longer drop than he thought, and I heard this thud, and I heard, oh, and he's wearing an old lady dress and pink cardie, and I could hardly sing for that. Honestly, I wanted to shriek. And then I can see him up the back of the hall a couple of minutes later going...
And of course, the worst thing that happens sometimes with that one is you get it all arranged to run miles, and you've got to run really fast to get there in time, only to find that someone's locked the door, and so you can't get in, So we've had that happen a couple of times. So.
You've worked together 17 years. You must know each other really well by now.
Yeah, I
I think so,
yeah.
yes.
That's for sure.
So, of course, you're married to Mike and you're married to Bev.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
how do they respond to the two of you working together?
Oh, Bev's got
We're
no
a
worries.
bit like brother and sister.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
brother and sister,
yeah.
yes.
Sister.
No, Bev's never had a problem. And yeah.
He's only auditioned me 10 times.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
of
right. Well, I
course.
had to make sure that she was all right.
Yeah, but at least it's not the casting couch. No. You're going to do something else for us. See us out with something special?
Oh, what about a real character thing?
Should we do a little bit of London?
A little bit of Cockney, I think.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Joll and Debbie Dorday.
Thank you.
G'day, me old cock sparrow. How you going then, all right? God, her indoors, she weren't feeling too good. So I gets on the old dog and bone, gives the doctor a call. He says, bring her down. Well, we goes down the doctor's room. He checks her out and says, you're pregnant, love. Get over, she says. He says, nah. He says, is this your first? She says, nah, back home, we got 4 sets of twins. Blimey, he said, 4 sets of twins? He said, you get twins every time? She says, nah, most of the time we don't get nothing at all. So then he said, listen, love, what with 8 at home and another on the way, he said, what are you going to do? She says, I don't know what I'm going to do, Doc. She says, I don't even know what causes it. Must be something in the air. He says, yeah, your legs. But anyway, about 9 months later, she due to have the little sprog. So I takes her down the hospital, she goes in the theatre and I'm sitting in the waiting room with a couple of other blokes. And about 2 hours later, the doctor comes out and he's got this little black baby. He says, whose is this? Well, I looked at the other 2 fellas as white as what I was. So I stood up and said, it's got to be mine. She burns everything else.
Oh, you cheeky monkey, I heard that.
Don't put chewing gum leaves its flavour on the bedpost overnight. Does your mama say don't chew it? Do you swallow it in spite? Do you catch it on your tonsils? Do you hear it left and right? Does your chewing gum lose its flavour on the bedpost overnight? Oh me, oh my, oh you, whatever shall I do?
Hallelujah, the question is peculiar.
Oh, kids a lot of dough. If only I could know the answer to my question. Is it yes or is it no? Does your chewing gum lose its flavour on the bedpost overnight? Does your mama say don't chew it? Do you swallow it in spite? Do you catch it on your tonsils? Do you even left and right? Does your chewing gum lose its flavour on the bedpost overnight? Here comes the blush and cry, the groom is by your side.
To the altar, it's as steady as Gibraltar.
The groom has got a ring, oh it's such a pretty thing. He slips it on her finger.
And the choir began to sing. All together. Does your chewing gum lose its flavour on the bedpost overnight?
That was just fabulous. Now, when I'm performing, sometimes something happens and the program goes a little awry. So I'll jump in with something that I've got pre-planned, a joke that usually works. Do you have anything like that?
We don't make mistakes,
No,
ever.
no,
You don't make mistakes. I love it.
Everything is so timed that we rehearse the heck out of it until we're pretty
I'm
sure
thinking
it
of
won't
times
happen.
I know
that
what
I
you
had
mean.
when the power went out. And
Yep.
so there was no, I'm yelling, but doing a joke.
Well, we were in Christchurch 2 days after the big earthquake. And so, of course, I remember we were doing one of the bigger villages there because after the earthquake, because none of the villages were allowed to go out to come to our daytime shows because they were told to stay off the roads. So, of course, a lot of the villages said, well, we'd come into the villages and do it in the village. And this one, of course, about regularly every half an hour or so, there'd be another tremor which would shut the power off. So then we covered that until the computer had rebooted itself, which takes, as you know, a reasonable amount of time. So we were covering that with jokes. And
The funny thing was, we were singing "Oh Boy" the day after the earthquake, and it's what's the shake line in it? Shake,
Oh,
baby,
shake, baby,
shake,
shake.
baby, shake. That was a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
I was trying to think how we could change the words.
Yeah, please don't shake it.
Shake, baby, shake
My
it.
wife and I were there the day after the earthquake as well, and in the middle of the night, apparently there was quite a big shake, and I just slept through it. And Cynthia nudged me, and she said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "No, do it again." So
Unfortunately, we had the same thing. We arrived in Christchurch, and of course we were prepared for an earthquake. And I remember, because we tour in motorhomes, and I was in the shower, and suddenly there was this tremendous shake. And so, of course, I leapt out of the shower, and I got on the phone, and I said to Debbie, "Did you feel that?" And of course, she sounded all panicky, but the reality was she was trying to stop laughing because her and Micah got out while I was in the shower and shaking the pants.
Well, I knew he was in the shower because I can hear the motor. But you know,
Yes.
and we'd shaken it.
He wasn't singing.
It was really funny because he thought it was a huge shake.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really wonderful having you both here. Apart from being friends, you are icons in New Zealand entertainment and variety entertainment.
Thank you.
And it's been a lovely honour having you here. Jim?
Thanks very much, Mike.
You sit down. I'll come to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Joll, Debbie Dorday. Well, that's it for tonight. What a fantastic show. And I'd like to invite you back here, same time, same channel next week for the Guy Cater Show. And remember, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Good night.